Welcome to workout number 11 of our 25-day workout series. Today's workout is going to be focused on pelvic opening, so ensuring that you have the movement capability to open the mid-pelvis, or the portion of the pelvis that baby's going to be rotating through during birth. With the mid-pelvis, the type of movements that are going to open it are going to be asymmetrical type movements. So one hip is doing something different than the other, or shifting weight from side to side. So we both want to find external rotation of the femur to open the hip, and then also internal rotation, so bringing the knee towards midline. So this workout is going to incorporate both, plus a mobility movement to help you feel that movement. The first exercise is going to be the Cossack lunge, or the side lunge. So you're going to find this wide stance position, toes are going to be slightly pointed out, and you're going to drop the weight towards one side, push back up to center, and then drop weight to the other side. Another option is to stay low as you alternate between the legs. The next movement we have is the staggered stance RDL with band and row, but you can omit the band and row if you don't have this setup. We want the band to be attached around chest to hip level. With this, I'm going to hold the band in the opposite hand of my working or my forward leg. And then I'm going to just step that same side leg back just a little bit. So that's just my balance leg. From here, I'm going to hinge my hips back. So if I had a flashlight attached to my butt, shining the wall behind me as opposed to the floor below me as if I was doing a squat. So I'm going to hinge my hips back while I reach forward with the band. At the same time, I'm thinking belly to thigh, so I'm finding internal rotation or a closed hip position on my stance leg. I'm thinking knees staying stacked over the ankle, and there's like a slight rotation inwards of the knee. It's not super dramatic. Keeping weight in the big toe side of my foot, so I'm going to feel a big stretch in my hamstring and glute here. And then exhale to extend the hip as I face forward and row this band back. So inhale to reach forward with the band, finding that internal rotation and closed hip position with my working leg, and then exhale to extend the hip as I come on up. So inhales are down, exhales to come up. If you don't have a banded setup, you can either hold the weight in your free hand and do the same thing, or you can do it without the weight and you're just going to reach for the floor and then stand back up. The last movement we have in this circuit is going to be the standing hip shift. So you can use a yoga block, or you can just have your foot down on the floor. You can hold on to a sturdy structure such as your door frame, or you can do this freestanding. So I'm going to put one foot onto the yoga block, and this is going to be my focus leg. And then with the opposite hand, I'm going to grab onto my door frame or my sturdy structure. I'm going to put weight into the leg that's elevated, and then I'm going to find that hinge where I shift the weight back. So I'm thinking, find my closed hip position, think belly to thigh as I shift backwards. And so now I have a lot of stretching here happening in this hamstring and glute. I'm thinking knee is staying aligned or straight with the ankle. It's not pushing outwards. And then I'm thinking that slight internal rotation. So I'm rotating that knee inwards, keeping weight in the big toe side. And then I'm going to find a little bit of rounding in the back to target this towards that posterior pelvic floor. And then I'm going to breathe here. So big inhale into this back pocket and exhale to let go. But I'm really focusing on feeling this stretching and this internal rotation here in this hip. And then I can switch to the opposite side. If you want to do this without a sturdy structure, putting weight onto the elevated surface or down on the floor, I'm going to put weight into this leg as I shift the hips back. Knee and ankle are generally in a straight line. They're not going to be stacked because the knee is going to shift backwards. I'm going to rotate that knee inwards as I put weight into that big foot, reaching towards that opposite foot, slight rounding in the low back, and then breathing here. So I'm feeling this big stretch in the hamstring and glute. So for today's workout, we have 3 rounds, 30 seconds each of Cossack lunge. We're going to be alternating between sides. From stagger stance, Romanian deadlift with band and row, 30 seconds per side. And then we have the standing hip shift. It's going to be 30 seconds per side. So starting round number 1 with that Cossack lunge, legs are going to be wide, feet slightly externally rotated, so pointed out at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to inhale to lower down into one leg, exhale to come on up, and then lower to the other side. So inhales are to lower, exhales to come up. Inhale slower, exhale to come. You can also hold a weight in the center if you'd like to, if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, or I could just shift my weight from leg to leg without extending in the hips. So this would be another variation that you can do. So exhales to come on up, inhales to lower down. Next up, we have that staggered stance RDL. So grabbing onto that band with the opposite hand. If you're using a weight, use a weight instead. Opposite hand is going to reach forward as I shift my weight into this forward leg. Exhale, come on up. Think belly to thigh at the bottom, knees staying stacked over that ankle, weight in that big toe side. Exhale to row. Inhale to come down, exhale to row. And really feeling that internal rotation at the bottom, so that stretch in that hamstring and the glute. We're emphasizing internal rotation a little bit more because pregnancy, postpartum, just life in general is very external rotated and extended. Switching sides, so placing that band in the opposite hand, putting weight in that opposite foot now. So we have opposite sides working together. We're gonna reach forward and then exhale to come on up. So keeping weight in that big toe side, knees staying stacked over the ankle, exhale to extend. So again, we have more of that emphasis in internal rotation here because it's usually the portion of hip movement that is neglected. So exhale to extend, inhale to reach forward, feel that stretch in that hamstring and glute, exhale to come on up. So maybe pause at the bottom to feel the hip move into this internal rotation. Coming to our standing hip shift, so grabbing your yoga block if you're using it, or foot can just be down on the floor. Putting weight into that foot, I'm gonna bring weight into this foot, rotate belly to thigh, grab on with the opposite hand, slight rounding in the low back. And then we can think about the knee, rotating the knee towards midline or internally rotating it. Maybe a little bit more weight in the big toe side. Big inhale down to feel kind of this diagonal stretching through the lat into that opposite glute. And then exhale to let go. Big inhale to feel that diagonal expansion. Exhale, let go. Maybe push the chest away from the floor. And then switching sides. So bringing that yoga block to the opposite foot. I'm gonna grab on with my other hand, putting weight into that foot, shifting the hips back again, hinge tight motion. Then rotate that knee inwards, weight's a little bit more on that big toe side. Slight rounding in the back to feel that stretch through that lat into that opposite glute. Big inhale, and then exhale, let go. So feeling this big expansion of breath diagonally. Exhale, let go. Still keeping weight in that big toe side, rotating that knee inwards. And then again, we're trying to feel this more big stretch in this glute and hamstring. Coming back to round number 2, our Cossack lunge. So legs are gonna be wide. If you wanna hold a weight, feel free to hold a weight. And we're gonna inhale to lower, exhale to come on up. Inhale to lower, exhale to come on up. As you come down, you can also come onto the heel, which sometimes lets you drop in a little bit deeper into the movement. As you do it, we're thinking shifting the hips back to drop, as opposed to trying to stay super upright. So hips are shifting back to drop into this lunge. Inhale to lower, exhale up. Inhale to lower, exhale, come on up. Back to our staggered stance RDL with banded row. Again, you can omit the band altogether too. So putting weight into one foot, I'm gonna reach forward to inhale, feel that big stretch in the hamstring and glute. Exhale to come on up. Inhale to reach, belly to thigh. Exhale, come on up. Knees staying stacked over that ankle. Weight in the big toe side. Exhale, come on up. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale to lower down. Switching sides, so placing that band into the opposite hand, putting weight into the other foot. So again, a little bit more weight in the inside of the foot. As you start at the bottom, reaching forward, think belly to thigh. Exhale to come on up. Inhale to reach forward. Exhale, come up. Really think knees staying stacked over the ankle, weight in that big toe side. Feel that stretch in the glute and the hamstring at the bottom. So big stretch here. Exhale, come on up. As you row, think elbow into your side. We're not rowing to the shoulder, we're rowing to the bottom of the rib cage. So inhales here, exhale to row, and then pause at the 2 endpoints to feel it on each side. Coming to that standing hip shift, so bringing your yoga block underneath one foot, grab onto your sturdy structure, shifting weight here, hinge back, so hips to the wall behind me, slight rounding, weight in the big toe side, think rotate that knee inwards, and then big breath here, and then exhale to just let go. So more of the weight is gonna be in the arm, not the legs quite as much. You'll have some weight in the legs obviously because you're standing up, but I'm not like maintaining this position the whole time. So this is gonna allow me to kind of sink into it a little bit more. If you want more of the legs, use it without the supportive structure. Switching to the opposite side. So placing the foot on your elevated structure, shifting back. Think knee is rotating inwards. Just find that rounding in the back. Mostly push the chest away. Big inhale, exhale, let go. Big inhale, exhale, let go. And same thing, the weight is really in the upper body and I'm just kind of like hanging backwards. If you want it more in the leg, have less in the arms. And then you're gonna put more weight into that hip. So really think rotating that knee inwards, weight in the big toe side. Coming into our final round, back to that Cossack lunge. So again, we're hinging back as opposed to maintaining a super upright position. We're gonna inhale to lower down, exhale to come on up. If you wanna hold on to weight, feel free to do so. And you can also maintain this low position the whole time without coming up in between. So explore the movement, feel what feels good for you and your body. This is emphasizing that external rotation to help open the upper level of the mid-pelvis. So this is where baby's gonna begin their rotation through the pelvis. Moving on to that staggered stance or RDL. So grabbing onto that band, opposite foot is gonna come forward. And we're going to inhale to reach forward, knees staying stacked. Exhale, come on up. Inhale to find that internal rotation, closed hip position at the bottom. Exhale to come on up. Internal rotation helps to open the lower half of the mid-pelvis, which helps baby finish their rotation underneath the pubic bone. So if we're having any sort of late labor stalls where you're like 7 or 8 centimeters, baby's really low, and they're just not getting any lower, it could be related to decreased space in this portion of the pelvis. Going ahead and switching sides, so putting the band into the opposite hand, weight into that other foot, finding the bottom position, so reaching forward, knees staying stacked, exhale, come on up, inhale to lower down. So if you're experiencing a late labor stall, it could be related to decreased space in the lower mid-pelvis, which is open more with asymmetrical internal rotation. So ensuring that you can find these movements during pregnancy, during postpartum as you prepare for pregnancy is gonna be super beneficial to your birth, to your labor, and for your overall hip comfort, because this is a part of our hip range of motion as well. Last movement is gonna be that standing hip shift. This is also emphasizing internal rotation. So we have more of an emphasis in this workout because this is where most folks are neglecting. So shifting into that hip, again, if you want more weight into the leg, have less of a shift back with that arm. We're still thinking rotating the knee towards midline, weight in the big toe side, slight rounding in the back, big inhale down. You're gonna feel it more in that back hip pocket, and then exhale, let go. Big inhale, feeling that big stretch, that hamstring and glute, exhale, let go. Switching sides, so bringing that weight into the other foot now, grabbing on with the opposite arm. And again, you can do this without the pull as well. So shifting back, think rotating the knee towards midline, weight in the big toe slide, slight rounding in the back, think push the chest away. Big inhale down, exhale, let go. If you want it more weight in the leg, sometimes that helps you shift into it a little bit more. Just decrease the intensity of the arm. So really thinking belly towards thigh, keeping that knee rotated inward. Sometimes there's a tendency for it to kind of move outwards. And that concludes workout number 11. So as you're doing this workout, really focus on finding that external rotation, finding more of that internal rotation to move the hip through its full range of motion. So one, we can stay more comfortable throughout pregnancy into the postpartum period, because the more that the hip can move, the better it can function. And then also to help us prepare for birth, so we can ensure that we can open the pelvis, all of the different levels to help baby navigate through the pelvis. So thanks for watching this workout video with us. If you liked it and you enjoyed doing it, feel free to join our online fitness programs. If you want to continue to watch them on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe so they show up on your feed whenever we post a new workout video.